What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I thought I'd do a follow up to my 5 changes in CS and 5 GA changes videos by going over 5 changes that I would love to see for heroes vs villains. Now obviously HVV did just get some changes recently that pretty much completely changed the game mode, removing the target system and pretty much just making it team deathmatch, so I don't imagine it's going to get any real changes for a long time, if ever, but I do still think that it's good to talk about some of the things that really do need changing nonetheless. Now, a few of these ideas could really relate to more than just HVV, but regardless, I think all of these changes really would make the mode a lot more enjoyable and definitely a lot less frustrating, because as fun as it can be, there are plenty of HVV matches that really do get pretty frustrating when some of these things come up. So getting straight into it, and this isn't really in any particular order, the first thing I would love to see changed is the addition of some kind of squad spawn system similar to what we have in Galactic Assault and Capital Supremacy. For the longest time now, the spawns in HVV have been an absolute mess, spawning players right next to a whole squad of enemies or spawning all the teammates on opposite sides of the map, meaning that it's just a continuous 4v1 since one team can kind of stay together and the other team always ends up being split up. By adding a squad spawn system, it would at least allow dead players to have a chance at spawning near their teammates, and I know it might not work all that well with how HVV plays, but they could maybe just make it slightly different than the GA version by spawning you say 10 meters away from the teammate you chose or something like that. Like I said, not really too sure if this would work, but I really do think that the spawns are a bit of an issue at the moment, and by adding a squad spawn system, or at the very least just fixing the spawns a little bit, I really do think that it would make the game mode a lot more balanced and in turn a lot more enjoyable. Moving on now to the next change I would love to see, and this one is all about the lightsaber hitboxes and how they just seem to really not work in general. I'm sure you've all been in a situation where a saber hero swings at you and maybe you've just dodged out of the way at the perfect time, yet even though the saber was really nowhere near you, it still manages to deal damage, and then usually a follow-up hit comes as well. I don't know what it is about the saber hitboxes. I'm not too sure whether it has something to do with the sabers themselves or the players' hitboxes or what, but something is definitely wrong because I see so many others complaining about this, and having played a lot of HVV recently to do a little bit of research for this video, I can definitely see where they're coming from. As for how they fix this, I honestly have no idea whatsoever. I'm not a game designer and I don't pretend to have the first idea of what's actually going wrong here or how it can be fixed, but I'm sure there's a way for the devs to fix it, as I do think that it used to be better than it currently is, and so hopefully it is actually a fixable issue. Like I said at the start though, I kind of doubt this ever will be fixed, to be honest, but nonetheless I do hope that they can, because for me it really can ruin playing as a saber hero in HVV. Moving on to the next thing on my list, and this is one of those things that kind of relates to all game modes in a way, and this would be a star card loadout system similar to what they had in Battlefront 2015. Since I mainly play Galactic Assault, whenever I do play HVV I have to change all of my cards around, and more often than not I actually forget to do so, and so I think adding a system like the Battlefront 2015 version really would be a great quality of life change. There's nothing worse than when you actually do change around your cards to play HVV, and then later on you go and play some GA and grab a hero, and halfway through you realise your health on kill card isn't equipped, or another card that you really need to use, and it essentially ends up costing you a life as a hero. Obviously, yes, maybe I should try and pay a little bit more attention and always check my cards before I do pick a hero. That's definitely a fair call, but I think it would just be so much easier if we could create, say, 3 to 5 different card loadouts and then switch between them quickly, and even set some default ones for certain game modes. Maybe we could make, say, 5 different card loadouts, and you could make 2 for GA, 1 might suit long range maps and 1 suits the close range maps, and then set one of those as the default for Galactic Assault, and then make, say, another 2 that are for HVV and set one of those as the HVV default, and then even one for a Hero Showdown default or something like that. This seems like it wouldn't be all that difficult to implement, and again, I'm not a game developer, so maybe I'm completely wrong, but what I do know is that it really would be a nice change that I think pretty much everyone would agree would be a solid addition to the game, so hopefully somewhere down the line we can see something like this implemented. Moving on, the next thing I would love to see changed, and this kind of relates to the second one, but it is slightly different, and this is finding some way to stop saber spamming. I'm not necessarily talking about just 1v1 saber spamming, although that is annoying too, but it's at least manageable, but I'm more talking about those situations where you get ganged up on 2v1 or 3v1 and just die in a matter of milliseconds, even though your block is up and all that, as eventually you're just going to die regardless. Now, to a degree I can see how this would be a hard thing to fix, because really in a 3v1 or even a 2v1 most of the time you really shouldn't win those, and so I guess it's maybe not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean when I say how frustrating that is to just die in a matter of seconds, which does also relate back to the spawn points too, as a majority of the time it's actually due to you and your teammates being split up. How they could go about fixing this, I honestly have got no ideas, so maybe you guys could let us know down in the comments if you do have any ideas of your own. Maybe they could very slightly reduce saber damage when more than one person is attacking or something like that, but this really can get frustrating and hopefully there is some way that they can go about fixing it. Now, moving on to the last thing on the list, and this is kind of going to relate to the whole game in general, although I think it mainly benefits HPV, and this is adding those damn private matches. I'm actually planning on making an entire video on this in the future, so I won't ramble on too much about this for now, but I think we all know just how important it is for DICE to add those private matches, as it's honestly pretty hard to believe that we still haven't got them almost 2 years after launch. Some of you may already know, but for those who don't, I'm actually pretty heavily involved in a project called Battlefront Duels, where we actually host dueling events every Saturday, cheeky little plug. And without private matches, this is so much harder than it needs to be, and there's actually been a few occasions where we simply have had to cancel events because we can't actually get the same 2 teams into the same lobbies. I do also try and do HVV on stream sometimes with, say, me and 3 subscribers versus 4 other subscribers, and most of the time you can get it to work. However, it often takes maybe half an hour to find the same lobby, and essentially it's just way harder than it needs to be, and by adding private matches, literally all of these problems would be fixed. Again, I'm not going to ramble on too much because I do want to make a whole video on this in the near future, but I'm sure probably all of you agree that private matches would make HVV a much better experience so that you could play with your friends in a controlled lobby, and for me it is the #1 thing that I want DICE to add to Battlefront 2, not only for HVV but just for every game mode in general. But anyway guys, that is going to do it for this video. If you do agree with some of this stuff that I mentioned, then make sure to leave a like down below, and hopefully we can get some eyes on this video and hopefully see a few changes. If there's anything I didn't mention that you guys think needs to be changed, then definitely let me know down in the comments section, because I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I probably missed out in this video. If you are new to the channel, then feel free to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any more Battlefront 2 videos or live streams. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Should know. I'm a big deal in the Resistance.